Hello, let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Jaskiewicz and I'm Polish. I'm a rising junior at NY Shanghai and I'm an economics major. The plan for the following 10 minutes is that I will first talk about what inspired my project. I will then talk about the evolution of the idea, how it changed shapes, and then I will describe in more detail my final project. And eventually I will reflect on the entire DURF experience. What I learned from the experience, what were the challenges, how I managed to overcome them. The initial inspiration came during one of the Arc Economic Society meetings, during which we watched an MIT psychologist giving his TED talk entitled "Are We in Control of Our Own Decisions?" He was essentially talking about the biases and the unconscious underlying prejudice and patterns that guide our behavior when it comes to decision making. And one of the effects I found most striking was the asymmetric dominance effect. It relates to a situation in which, initially, to simplify, we have just two elements, and each of them is different on different dimensions. So, for example, one can be very cheap, which is great, but low quality, and the other one can be very high quality, which is amazing, but very expensive. So each of the elements is good on one dimension, but bad on the other, which makes the choice complex, and which makes the agent confused. As it turns out, asymmetric dominance effect relates to a situation in which an introduction of a third element, so-called decoy element, can make this choice easier, can shift our preferences towards an option, a target option, that is more strongly dominating this newly introduced decoy element. So after that meeting, I started reading more about the asymmetric dominance effect. And I came across this article by Wilfred Amodus, James Bettman, and John Payne, which researched into the intersection of asymmetric dominance effect and game theory. And I was at the time very interested in game theory, so that was very fascinating for me to see people researching into this field, into this domain. But I put it aside for some time, and it came back to me when I saw this poster, the poster of advertising for a meeting with John Payne at NY Shanghai, and that was an incredible opportunity. I went to talk to Professor Payne. I discussed with him the paper. I even taught him about my initial DURF idea, and he was very encouraging. And this is how I ended up submitting my DURF application entitled Asymmetric Dominance Effect in Two-Person Zero-Sum Games with Unique Mixed Strategy Solution. The idea was essentially to replicate to a large extent the methodology of Amodus, Bettman, and Payne, but to extend the project and the methodology to a new class of games, to two-person zero-sum games with unique mixed strategy solution, because it seemed to me that the outcome wouldn't be too obvious from the results they got. However, the more I researched into it during the summer, the less exciting it appeared, because it turned out that the zero-sum games are not really too much real-life related. Their applicability is very limited. Of course, they have been used to model pork barrel spending, for example, in elections. However, that is still very limited, which made me lose interest in the topic pretty quickly. And so I discussed it with my research mentor, Professor Stephen Lehrer. And this is how I came up with my second experimental design. Professor Stephen Lehrer suggested to me that I do something stress-related, because stress is the direction into which the research is going right now. It's a very, very important field to investigate in. And I found that very interesting, and this is the path I decided to follow. So I kind of moved away from the game theoretic context, and I made my research entirely focused on consumer decision making. So I wanted to just present subjects with some shopping scenarios and confirm within subjects whether asymmetric dominance effect would be present, and between subject research into the effect of stress and asymmetric dominance effect, whether the effect would be strengthened, mitigated, or left without change. And this time the project seemed very much real-life related, because it would describe very directly our consumer, our shopping decisions. However, when I brainstormed it with Professor Stephen later, it turned out it was much more psychology related than economics related. It lacked the economic incentive for the subject, for people to act like economic agents. And so I had to rethink my design again. And this is how my final design emerged: asymmetric dominance effect in Prisoner's Dilemma games under stress. I decided to keep the stress component because I felt like this is one of the things that was making my experiment very real life related. I decided to come back to the game theoretic context, which I enjoyed so much at the very beginning, but I changed the class of games that would be the focus. I decided to concentrate on the Prisoner's Dilemma games because of their real life applicability. They have been used to model international relations, market relations, and so on and so forth. So I thought that would be a much better choice than zero sum games, like strategy zero sum games. And then again, just like with the previous design, I wanted to confirm presence of asymmetric dominance effect within subjects, and between subjects I wanted to see what the effect of stress on the outcome would be, an asymmetric dominance effect would be. In the previous experiment, I thought I could use patients at in the previous design, I thought I could use patients at the health clinic as my subjects to facilitate for that stress condition. That's also eliminating any potential ethical concerns regarding the experiment, because I would be using, I would invite to participate patients who would be having their blood tests done in the morning, so they would be naturally stressed, they would be hungry. So I would be using this naturally occurring situation within my experiment. And this would allow me to, on one hand, carry out the experiment and have my condition, the stress condition, fulfilled, but also avoid any potential ethical concerns. But here I thought it would be more practical to invite NYU Shanghai students to participate. So I thought I could just invite half of the students to participate before lunch when they would be hungry. Hunger is, as I said, one of the most important stressors. And half of them to participate after lunch for the control condition. I would incentivize the subjects to behave as economic agents by rewarding them with monetary benefits according to how they performed while solving the game matrices. So this time, instead of giving them real-life shopping scenarios, I wanted to give them game matrices. And according to the outcome of the game score they would receive, they would be rewarded with money. And the project again would be very real-life significant precisely because of the stress component and also the class of games that was chosen in the topic. And right now my plan is to carry out the project during the fall semester. I spent the entire summer working on the design, and this was precisely my plan. I specified in my DURF application I would focus on the design only during the summer. And this is the objective I achieved. I wanted to come up with a really solid, a really good design that would constitute a good basis for an interesting research. And this is the objective I managed to achieve. And this is something I'm very proud of. The DURF experience overall has been a marvelous learning experience. I got to know the details of the research procedure. I got to know the frustration of a researcher who is going through literature, trying to amend and correct and tweak their research topic. I got to know that feeling. I also managed to really figure out whether I like doing research or not, and then I actually really do, which is incredible. I really wanted to do that because I planned to go for a PhD, and I still do plan to go for a PhD program after graduation. I wanted to test if I really am into research, and turned out I do enjoy it, which makes me very happy. And then DURF has been a marvelous opportunity for me to meet some truly amazing professors, both within Global Network and outside of it, Professor John Payne, Professor Adam Brandenberger, Professor Maxwell Pack, who has already been teaching me, but with whom I also brainstormed this project. And of course, Professor Stephen Lehrer, to whom I would like to extend my special thanks. He has been a truly amazing research mentor throughout the entire process of working on the design. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it at least as much as I enjoyed working on my DURF project throughout the summer. Thank you so much.